Hi again, Engineering 1210. Andy here again with your tutorial number 3. This is a long one. This has been a long one, a lot of different things to do, but you're at a point now where basically you're becoming like really pro at using SolidWorks, which is quite cool. You're at a point now where when you finish making this birdhouse thing and you show your family the cool stuff you made, in terms of even just the CAD model, they're going to go, wow, that tuition we paid is really worthwhile. You might also find that this, if you do even more cool stuff, this could get you a summer job. Just saying. So let's move on to making this darn birdhouse or animal house, because you're not doing a birdhouse. So here we are back to this sheet metal folded, cardboard folded thing that I talked about in the last video. I'm just going to suppress the fold. So there we're back to the not unfolded thing. And I'm going to save that. And because we're talking about an assembly, I'm going to go and make assembly from part. Now recall in one of the very first videos, I pointed out that making an assembly is kind of useful, and I showed you one example of using the same part for the assembly. And here we are. I've created an assembly. As I've warned you before, this looks an awful lot like the place we were just working. And you'll really get confused between working in assembly mode, working in part mode. But right now, this is going to be the start of an assembly. So first thing we have to do is insert components. I'm going to insert the ugly birdhouse. And there it is. Now, remember that when you place the first part in an assembly, that becomes grounded and locked in place. So when you see the label for that part, it says F. That doesn't mean what you think of it, that effing ugly birdhouse. No, that means it's fixed in place. So everything else we put in this assembly will assemble relative to the birdhouse. Now, if you click the down button, you can see all of the things that went into making of that part. And in fact, one of the kind of useful things about working in SolidWorks assembly is that you can even click that and you can open the part directly from here. You can even open or edit the part in place in the assembly. They're slightly different, but they're useful to know. You can also, you'll notice that the material for this is not specified, so it just shows up as some gray material. We could add that. We could put a material in for that. Not really necessary at the moment. You can also play around with the transparency. You click that and it changes it to being kind of transparent. That helps if you want to see other things. That's kind of nice. And there we have it. We've got our first part in the assembly, but we don't have any other parts. And I could go and start the part drawing environment in SolidWorks and create a new part. But if I try to make a new part that's going to fit this part, it's going to be hard because, this part is its own weird shape. So there's a much easier way to do it. I'm going to start, insert a new component. If you click the down arrow beneath that, I can make a new part within assembly. Now this is going to get confusing because now I'm still in assembly. It's asking me for a little check mark. It doesn't quite tell me anything up here why it's doing this, but if you look way down at the bottom corner here, it says select the face or plane on which to position the new part. Usually it's a bit more obvious of what it wants you to do, but I want that plane. There. So it's going to position the new part on that plane. And now see, it's created this blue, empty, non-existent part for me. It's got all these things called mates in here. It's already got a sketch, which is kind of that first plane. And I'm actually editing the sketch right now. So it's already got me started. You see up in the right-hand corner these symbols that show you that you're editing a sketch. And so there we are. So what I'm going to do is I rolled it around here. I'm going to use, you'll notice that my sketch editing tools, they're all the same as you've seen before. They're just kind of shoved over with this additional junk here. This is additional junk that it shows you that you're actually working within an assembly. So I'm going to try to convert entities. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't for me. I'm going to click that. That, and that. There, so it's given me a sketch that has these items here. Now, I didn't get those corners, so maybe I want to convert them too. I'm going to get that. No, this is tiny and fiddly. I'll get that. I'll get that. Whoa, why didn't I get, yeah, I get that. I get that. 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 I picked the wrong one before, so I don't want to pick that one. So if you pick it a second time, it takes it out of the list. You see the list it's going to convert is over here. I'm going to pick that edge. That ought to be enough. So now I've got all of those corners I've picked. I'm going to do the extend to there, like so. So I've now got a sketch that is giving me kind of that shape of the trace of the birdhouse. I'm going to go back to editing that sketch. I'm going to select everything there, do something really funny. I'm going to call it for construction. Bam. Now, I'm going to take that for construction and I'm going to pick this other tool, offset entities. I'm going to offset those entities by, oh, what do you think? 2.5 millimeters. And I'm going to select all of them. Didn't like that. Let's try that again. Offset entities. Should be select chain. I want to reverse it. I want it to offset it outwards. Yeah, that's what I want. There, there. because it's already says select chain, it should be selecting the chain. I don't know, it's not. It's probably an easier way to do this, but so be it. This is the way I'm doing it. Great thing about, why did it not like that? Just leave it at that. Extend that, and then I'll do the offset entities again. Pick that line. I want to reverse it. Clearly this is not perfect. And I'll trim. There. So now I should have a closed loop that is slightly bigger than the outside of my thing. And I could take that, and you'll see somewhere it's got a dimension, which is 2.5. I could make this dimension 5. Should be able to make this dimension 5, sorry, 5. Made it bigger. That was 50. Didn't want 50. Wanted 5. That's what I wanted. And because it made me select this one separately, I have to make that 5. There. And I can do the same thing on the inside. Where I could take offset entities. And now remember, I had used that that construction one for this before. I'm going to make this 0.5. And I'll see if I can select all of these. Don't know why it's not selecting it as a chain. It should be. And so you see what I'm doing now is I'm basically making a groove that will be where my birdhouse will fit. Did the same thing that time too. Don't know why. Regardless, we'll do that again. Pick that, and we'll finish this up, and we'll trim. Trim, trim, trim. And there's that little tab there, trim. Sometimes you get these little misalignments that do weird things. Like this one is a likely candidate. See that even though they look like they're the same spot, I could take that and I could make them coincident. Didn't like that. Didn't like that. Okay. Be that as it may, that's going to show up as a problem because I made that made that point different point. Looks like it actually is the same point, so I'll be okay with it. So there's my sketch. So with this sketch, I'm going to do two things with it. I'm going to extrude a piece of plywood. Maybe I'll use that contour, and I want to extrude it up into the birdhouse, and I want to extrude it by 12 millimeters, half an inch or so. But then, because you know that we can use the same sketch over again, I'm going to also extrude it downwards. There. So I've got this bottom for my birdhouse that is nice and heavy and thick. I can shove it inside. It's going to help make the shape just what I want it for the birdhouse. And I've made it within the context of this assembly. So I'm going to save that part. The only thing that's different now is that the part that I just had, I've just created part number 3. Just do a rebuild. It's a part that's within the assembly. And so it only exists because I started with my ugly birdhouse walls. And I've made this ugly birdhouse bottom. Now I'm going to save everything. Save as. I'm going to make this ugly birdhouse. And I'm going to include all referenced components and save them. And it gives me a question mark saying that there are parts of features defined in my context, i.e. this one, and this part only exists within the assembly. So we'll leave it there for a moment, and I'll see you back and we'll finish this task up. Thanks for watching.